Get away from her, now. The words tore through Clear Blue Park like thunder. A poor single dad had just witnessed something that made his blood boil. 3 boys circling a one-legged girl like wolves, her purple crutches thrown in the dirt, tears streaming down her face. He didn't know she was the daughter of one of the most powerful CEOs in the city. He didn't know this single moment would change 4 lives forever. All he knew was that no child deserved what he was seeing. Before we continue, please tell us, where in the world are you tuning in from? We love seeing how far our stories travel. The girl sat crumpled in the sandbox, her prosthetic leg twisted at an awkward angle, sand clinging to her tear-soaked cheeks. The tallest boy held her crutches above his head like a... Andrew Barron's work boots pounded against the gravel as he crossed the playground in 5 quick strides. His worn flannel shirt and faded jeans stood in stark contrast to the designer clothes of the other parents who sat watching, doing nothing. I said, "Get away from her." His voice dropped to something dangerous, something that made grown men nervous on construction sites. The boys froze. The tallest one, maybe 12 years old, tried to maintain his bravado. She's a child, and you're done here." Andrew positioned himself between the boys and the girl, his broad shoulders creating a wall of protection. "Put the crutches down, apologize, then leave." "You can't tell us what to do," another boy protested, though his voice wavered. Andrew crouched to their eye level, his voice calm but firm. "Your parents are going to hear about this, every single one of them, and if I ever see you bothering any child again, especially this one, we're going to have a very different conversation. Understood?" The boys dropped the crutches and mumbled apologies before running toward the park exit. Andrew turned to the girl, his entire demeanor shifting from protective fury to gentle concern. She was still crying, her small shoulders shaking as she tried to reach for her crutches.
"Hey there. It's okay now. They're gone." He picked up the crutches, brushing off the dirt. "I'm Andrew. What's your name?" Moon," she hiccuped between sobs. "Moon Wilton." "That's a beautiful name, Moon. Can I help you up?" She nodded, and Andrew carefully helped her stand, ensuring she was steady before letting go. That's when his 8-year-old daughter Mary came running over, her second-hand sneakers skidding in the gravel. "Daddy, why is she crying?" Mary's face creased with worry as she looked between her father and the girl. "Some boys were being mean," Andrew explained. "Moon, this is my daughter Mary." Mary immediately moved closer to Moon, studying her with the honest curiosity only children possess. "Your purple crutches are really cool. Purple's my second favorite color." "Mine too." Moon, where are you?" A woman's voice cut through the air, panic evident in every syllable. Anna Wilton appeared around the playground equipment, her designer suit and heels completely out of place in the wood chip-covered playground. Her face was pale with fear, that transformed to relief when she saw her daughter.
"Mommy!" Moon called out, fresh tears starting. Anna rushed over, dropping to her knees beside her daughter, not caring that her $1,000 suit was getting dirty. "What happened? I saw those boys running." "This man helped me," Moon said, pointing to Andrew. "They took my crutches and called me names, and I got so scared and I couldn't—" "Shh, it's okay, sweetheart." Anna pulled her close, then looked up at Andrew. Thank you so much. I was on a call with Tokyo and I looked away for just a few minutes." The guilt in her voice was something Andrew recognized. He'd felt it himself countless times. The weight of trying to balance survival with being present for your child. "It happens," Andrew said simply. "She's okay now." Anna stood, extending her hand. "Anna Wilton, I can't thank you enough." Andrew Barron, his calloused hand engulfed her manicured one, and really anyone would have done the same. "No," Anna said firmly, glancing at the other parents who had now conveniently become absorbed in their phones. If you've ever witnessed injustice and felt that fire in your chest demanding action, you know exactly what drove Andrew that day. Sometimes being poor in money means being rich in something else. Courage. Mary tugged on Moon's sleeve. Want to sit with us? We have goldfish crackers. They're the good kind, extra cheesy. Moon looked at her mother, who nodded. The four of them moved to a nearby bench, Mary chattering away to Moon about everything, from her favorite books to her theory about why clouds looked like cotton candy. Andrew watched his daughter work her magic. Mary had this gift. She could make anyone feel like they belonged. Maybe it came from knowing what it felt like to not fit in, wearing clothes from thrift stores while other kids had new everything. "Your daughter is incredible," Anna said softly, watching Mary demonstrate a clapping game to Moon, adjusting it so Moon could participate while balancing on her crutches. "She gets that from her mother," Andrew said automatically, then caught himself. The familiar ache settled in his chest, the one that came whenever he mentioned Grace. Anna recognized that particular shade of pain. "How long?" she asked gently. 3 years. Kidney failure. The transplant didn't take." His voice went hollow. "We had such hope. The match was perfect. The surgery went well. But her body rejected it. 2 weeks later, she was gone. Mary was 5. I'm so sorry."
Andrew shrugged. The gesture meant to deflect sympathy he still didn't know how to accept. "We manage. What about Moon's father?" Anna's laugh was bitter. "Jack wanted the Wilton lifestyle without lifting a finger. Expected my family's money to fund his dreams while he spent his days gaming and his nights with other women. I filed for divorce when I caught him with his third affair. He remarried within 6 months, started a new family. Hasn't seen Moon since." Her jaw tightened. "His loss. Moon is extraordinary." "All kids are," Andrew said, then hesitated. "If you don't mind me asking, what happened with her leg?" Anna's eyes darkened. "Scaffolding collapse. 2 years ago. She was walking past a construction site with her nanny. The company had cut corners on safety protocols." Her voice caught. 7 surgeries. They tried to save the leg, but infection set in. Amputation was the last resort. Andrew's stomach churned. He'd been in construction for 15 years. He knew exactly how preventable such accidents were. That should never have happened. No, it shouldn't have. Anna watched Moon, laughing at something Mary said. "This is the first time in months I've seen her really laugh with another child. The kids at her private school are polite, but they don't include her."
"Daddy, can Moon come to our apartment to play?" Mary asked suddenly. "I want to show her my rock collection." Andrew winced internally. Their apartment was clean but tiny, nothing like what the Wiltons were surely used to. "Maybe another time, sweetheart." "Please," Moon joined in, her green eyes bright with hope. "I love rocks." Anna and Andrew exchanged glances. "How about this?" Anna suggested. "Why don't you both come to our house? We have a pool, and Moon just got new adaptive swimming equipment she's been dying to try out." "Can we, Daddy, please?" Mary bounced on her toes. Andrew hesitated. He could see the address on Anna's business card. Hilltop Heights, where houses cost more than he'd make in 10 lifetimes. "Please," Anna said quietly. "It would mean a lot to Moon, to both of us." That afternoon changed everything. The Wilton mansion was overwhelming. Marble floors, cathedral ceilings, art that belonged in museums. But Moon dragged Mary straight through it all to her room, which looked like a purple explosion had occurred inside a science laboratory.
"You like science?" Mary gasped, taking in the microscopes, the planetary mobile, the periodic table shower curtain visible through the bathroom door. "I want to be a biomedical engineer," Moon said shyly, "to help kids who have problems like mine." While the girls played, Anna and Andrew sat by the pool, watching them splash and giggle. The conversation flowed naturally, about single parenting, about dreams deferred and hopes maintained, about the weight of raising daughters in a world that wouldn't always be kind to them. "Can I ask you something?" Anna said, as the sun began to set. "What do you do?" Andrew's jaw tensed. "Between jobs right now. Construction industry's been tough. My company downsized last month. Site supervisor? 15 years experience. But experience doesn't pay bills when there are no jobs." He tried to keep the bitterness out of his voice. Anna pulled out her phone, typed something, then looked at him. "Wilton Industries is breaking ground on a new medical research facility next month. We need a site supervisor. Someone who actually understands that safety isn't just about checking boxes. Have you ever had a moment where pride and desperation go to war in your chest? That's where Andrew stood, fighting between what he needed and what he could accept.
I appreciate that, but this isn't charity, Anna interrupted. I saw how you handled those boys today. Firm, but controlled. Protective, but not violence. Thinking about consequences and teaching moments, not just immediate results. Those are exactly the qualities I need overseeing a construction site where hundreds of people's safety will be in your hands. She slid a business card across the table. $90,000 annually, full benefits, and more importantly, we never compromise on safety. Never. Not after what happened to Moon. Andrew stared at the card. $90,000 was more than he'd ever made. It would mean no more choosing between electricity and groceries. No more watching Mary pretend she wasn't hungry when she shared her dinner with him. Think about it, Anna said. Come by Monday if you're interested. Why? Andrew asked quietly. Why would you do this? Anna looked at their daughters, now wrapped in towels, planning their next playdate. Because you saw my daughter as a child worth defending, not a disability to pity. Because your daughter sees mine as a friend, not a charity case. And because, she paused, I think we could help each other. Monday came. Andrew wore his only suit, the one from Grace's funeral, and presented himself at Wilton Industries. The interview was rigorous. Anna didn't give him any special treatment, but his experience, his knowledge, his passionate commitment to safety won over the panel. He started the following week.
The job changed their lives immediately. Andrew could afford new shoes for Mary, fresh vegetables instead of canned, even the occasional pizza night. But more than that, it gave him purpose again, dignity that had eroded with each rejection letter. The friendship between the families deepened. Weekend playdates became routine. Andrew taught Moon to be brave, to stand tall despite her disability. He was there when she tried her new prosthetic, cheering when she took her first unassisted steps. He helped her practice her presentation for the science fair, the one about adaptive technologies that would win first place. Mary and Moon became inseparable. They had sleepovers where they stayed up talking about everything and nothing. Mary defended Moon fiercely at school events they attended together. Moon helped Mary with math homework and taught her to see the world through the lens of possibility rather than limitation. And Andrew and Anna? What started as gratitude became friendship. What began as friendship became something neither had expected to feel again. It happened slowly. Coffee while the girls played became dinner after they were asleep. Conversations about the kids became conversations about dreams, fears, the people they used to be before loss reshaped them.
I haven't felt like myself in years, Anna admitted one evening, 6 months after they'd met. They were sitting on her porch, watching fireflies dance in the garden. Being CEO, being a single mom, being strong all the time, I forgot there was a person underneath all those roles. You're doing amazing, Andrew said. Moon is proof of that. She's happier than she's been since the accident. That's because of you and Mary. That's because she's finally allowed to be a kid, not a diagnosis. Every child deserves someone who sees their potential, not their limitations. The first kiss happened at Moon's 10th birthday party. The girls had orchestrated it, really, insisting their parents dance together during the father-daughter dance portion, then mysteriously disappearing to get more cake. I think we've been set up, Anna laughed, but she didn't pull away when Andrew's hand settled at her waist. Definitely, he agreed, drawing her closer. When their lips met, soft and tentative, they heard giggling from behind the garden shed where two heads were poorly hidden.
For a year, everything was perfect. Andrew had been promoted to senior site supervisor. Mary was thriving in her new school. Anna had insisted on paying for her to attend the same academy as Moon, calling it an early birthday present that happened to last all year. The four of them felt like a family. Then Richard Wilton returned from Switzerland. Anna's father was exactly what Andrew had expected. Tall, imposing, with eyes that calculated the value of everything they saw. He took one look at Andrew and found him wanting. "You're dating a nobody," Richard said to Anna during their first family dinner. Andrew and Mary hadn't been invited, but the dismissal was clear in his tone. "I'm dating a good man who happens to work for our company,"
Anna corrected, her knuckles white around her wineglass. A construction worker. A site supervisor who's reduced workplace accidents by 40% in 8 months. Richard waved that away. Anna, you're the CEO of a multi-billion-dollar company. You have a legacy to protect, a reputation to maintain. I have a daughter who's happy for the first time since her accident. That's the only legacy I care about. The conversation grew more heated over the following weeks. Richard made his disapproval clear at every opportunity. He had Andrew's background investigated, brought up his lack of education, his modest apartment, his inability to provide Anna with the lifestyle she was accustomed to. I don't need his money, Anna told Andrew after another particularly brutal dinner. But he's your father, Andrew said. Family matters. You're my family now, you and Mary and Moon.
The ultimatum came on a Thursday. Richard called Anna into his study, a room that reeked of old money and older whiskey. I'll make this simple, he said, not even offering her a seat. Choose him and you lose everything. Your position as CEO, your inheritance, your trust fund, all of it. Or end this relationship and keep the life you've built. Anna stared at him, her heart pounding. You're serious? I've never been more serious. You have 1 month to decide. Anna left his study in a daze. 1 month. 1 month to choose between the empire she'd helped build and the man who'd brought joy back into her life. For 3 weeks, Anna was in agony. She couldn't eat. She couldn't sleep. The thought of losing everything terrified her. Not the money itself, but starting from nothing. She'd never been without wealth. What if she couldn't provide for Moon? What if she failed? She found herself pulling away from Andrew, unable to meet his eyes, terrified he'd see her weakness, her indecision. Talk to me, Andrew said one evening, catching her hand as she tried to leave quickly after dropping Moon off for a playdate. You've been distant for weeks. Did I do something? No, you're perfect. That's the problem. The words tumbled out before she could stop them. She told him everything. Richard's ultimatum, her terror, her paralysis. Andrew's face went white, then red, then settled into something resignedly sad. Anna, listen to me. End this. Choose your life, your security, Moon's future. What? I love you enough to let you go. I've been poor. I know what it means. I won't let you throw away everything for me. But Moon loves you. She needs you. She needs a mother who isn't destroyed by resentment. If you choose me and regret it later, he couldn't finish. Anna drove home in tears. That night, she stood in Moon's doorway, watching her daughter sleep. On Moon's nightstand was a photo from last month, all 4 of them at the beach. Moon standing confidently on her prosthetic, Mary and Andrew having helped her conquer her fear of walking on sand. She remembered Moon's first day back at school, after meeting Andrew and Mary. Her daughter had come home glowing. Mom, I stood up to those kids who always stare, just like Mr. Andrew taught me. I told them my leg makes me special, not strange. Anna thought about the past year, how Moon had transformed from a girl who cried when people looked at her to one who gave presentations about adaptive technology. How Andrew never treated Moon's disability as something to overcome, but simply as part of who she was. She thought about herself, how she'd given up on love after Jack, swearing she'd never trust again, never be fooled again. How Andrew had slowly, patiently shown her that real love meant partnership, not possession, support, not servitude. At 2 a.m., Anna sat alone in the living room, a photo album open across her lap, her gaze fixed on 2 particular pictures. The first was from a charity gala 5 years ago, she in glittering diamonds, Jack at her side, his attention lost to the phone in his hand, no doubt texting another woman. Next to them stood Moon, her eyes dull, half hidden behind Anna's gown to escape the photographers. The second was from just 2 months ago. She, Andrew, Anna, and Mary crowded in the kitchen, all of them dusted with flour after a disastrous attempt at homemade pizza. No diamonds, no designer clothes, just 4 people laughing so hard they could hardly breathe. Moon was in the center, radiant, unafraid,
and proud. Suddenly, the choice wasn't difficult at all. The next morning, Anna drove to Andrew's apartment. When he opened the door, she met his eyes and said, "I choose you. I choose us. All of us." "Anna, please, think this through." "I have," she said firmly. "For 3 weeks, I've done nothing but think, and I realized something. My father can strip away my money, my title, my inheritance, but he can't take what you've given us. He can't take Moon's confidence, or my hope, or Mary's friendship. He can't take the family we've built together." "You're scared. I can see it." "Terrified," she admitted. "I've never lived without money. I don't know how to be poor, but I know how to be loved, because you taught me. And I know what it feels like to be rich in all the wrong ways with all the wrong people. I won't go back to that." Andrew pulled her into his arms. "Then we'll figure it out. Together." "Together," she whispered, finally certain.
The board meeting is next Friday, Richard had said coldly when she gave him her decision. You'll announce your resignation there. Comment below if you've ever had to choose between what looks successful and what feels right. The board meeting arrived too quickly. Anna wore her best suit. If she was going out looking like the CEO she'd been. Andrew sat in the audience with Mary and Moon, who was in her wheelchair due to a recent surgery. Anna stood at the podium, her resignation speech in hand. She looked at the faces of people she'd worked with for years, people who respected her, who'd watched her build this company into something extraordinary after her father's semi-retirement. "I have an announcement." "Before my daughter speaks," Richard's voice boomed from the back of the room. Everyone turned as he walked slowly to the front, leaning heavily on his cane. "I have something to say." Anna's stomach dropped. Was he going to humiliate her publicly? Make sure everyone knows why she was really leaving? Richard stood beside her, placing a hand on her shoulder. "6 weeks ago, I gave my daughter an impossible choice. It was cruel, manipulative, and," he paused, looking directly at Andrew, "necessary."
Gasps rippled through the room. Anna stared at her father in shock. Richard continued, "I built Wilton Industries from nothing. I've seen how wealth corrupts, how power changes people, how easily principle gets sold for profit. In 6 months, I'll be stepping down completely due to health issues you're not yet aware of. I needed to know that my successor, my daughter, wouldn't crumble under pressure, wouldn't choose the easy path when faced with hard decisions." He turned to Anna. "You chose love over money, integrity over inheritance, family over fortune. You prove you can't be bought, bullied, or broken. That's exactly the leader this company needs." Anna's legs nearly gave out. "This was a test?" "The hardest one I could devise, and you passed perfectly." Richard walked over to Andrew, who stood frozen in shock. "Young man, I owe you an apology. I called you a nobody, but you're the somebody who helped my daughter and granddaughter remember what really matters. Moon has flourished under your influence. She's confident, brave, happy, things she wasn't before you came into their lives." He extended his hand. "I was wrong. Welcome to the family." Andrew shook his hand, still unable to speak. "Furthermore," Richard announced, "Barron Construction will be our new subsidiary, focusing on sustainable, safe building practices. Andrew Barron will be its CEO, effective immediately."
The room erupted in applause. Moon and Mary clung to each other, laughing and crying through their tears. Anna threw herself into Andrew's arms, unconcerned with professional appearances. "Did you know?" Andrew whispered. "No, I thought I was really losing everything. You were willing to give it all up? For you? For us? In a heartbeat." Later, Richard drew Andrew aside. His voice was steady, but his eyes betrayed the weight of his words. "I need to tell you something. I'm sick. Pancreatic diagnosis.
A year, maybe less. Andrew's chest tightened. Anna doesn't know? Not yet, but she will. Take care of them when I'm gone. Not their money. They'll never need help with that. Their hearts. Promise me. I promise, Andrew said, his throat aching. Richard lived 11 more months, long enough to watch Andrew drop to one knee at Clear Blue Park, the place where everything began. Moon and Mary had filled the sandbox with purple ribbons and fairy lights, transforming the site of Moon's worst memory into something magical. Andrew looked up at Anna, his voice unshaken despite the emotion in his eyes. That day, I saw a scared little girl and an overwhelmed mother, and I couldn't walk away. I chose to help. I chose to care. Anna, I choose you now, and I want to choose you forever. Will you marry me? Tears streamed down her face as she nodded. Yes, forever. Richard lived long enough to walk Anna down the aisle at their small spring wedding. Moon and Mary as matching purple-dressed flower girls, both of them crying happy tears as their parents said, I do. He lived long enough to see the first barren construction site completed, a children's hospital with the most advanced adaptive technology and strictest safety standards in the industry. He lived long enough to tell Andrew, you were never a nobody. You were exactly who my family needed. 6 months after the wedding, the family stood at Richard's grave. Anna placed fresh orchids, his favorite, on the headstone. Barron Construction just got the city contract, Grandpa, Moon said, standing tall on her new prosthetic. Andrew says we're going to build parks that every kid can play in, no matter what challenges they have. And I'm going to be an engineer like you planned to be before you started the company, Mary added, having learned Richard's story during his final months. Andrew says you would have been proud. Andrew wrapped his arms around his wife and daughters, his complete, perfect family. Thank you, Richard, for the test, for the trust, for teaching us that sometimes the hardest choices reveal who we really are.
As they walked back to their car, Anna leaned into Andrew. Do you ever think about how different our lives would be if you hadn't been at the park that day? Every day, Andrew admitted. I think about how I almost didn't go, how Mary had to convince me because I was tired from job hunting. Daddy's always tired, Mary chimed in, but he always shows up anyway. That's what heroes do, Moon added, taking Andrew's hand. They show up when everyone else looks away. Subscribe to Soul Lift Stories now if you believe in the power of choosing love over logic, family over fortune, and standing up instead of standing by. The story of Andrew and Anna proves that sometimes the poorest man in the park can be the richest in character, that sometimes a CEO's greatest achievement isn't measured in profit margins, but in having the courage to choose happiness over holdings. That sometimes a grandfather's harshest test is actually his greatest expression of love. But most importantly, it reminds us that every single one of us has the power to change lives, not through grand gestures or enormous wealth, but through simple acts of human decency, through choosing to help when we could walk away, through teaching our children that everyone deserves kindness, regardless of their challenges or circumstances.